Welcome to What's the Data Point from Citizens Budget Commission and Gotham Gazette. I'm Ben Max from Gotham Gazette.
I'm Carol Kellerman from Citizens Budget Commission.
We're happy to be joined by Carol today. Maria is out, but we have another interesting discussion on deck. If you've missed any of our recent episodes, find us wherever you get your podcasts at What's the Data Point. And we also post all the episodes to the Gotham Gazette website and the CBC website. And give us feedback. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can rate us, you can subscribe, you can let your networks know. And of course, we're on Twitter. I'm at TweetBenMax. Maria is at Maria Doulis. CBC is at CBCNY. And so today we're very happy to be joined by Liz Glazer, the Director of the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And before we get into our discussion with Liz, here's Carol with today's data point.
Today's data point is 5,000, which is the target jail population that will allow the city to fully close the jail facilities located on Rikers Island, a goal the de Blasio administration has set to be accomplished over the next decade. The current total jail population at Rikers and other city facilities is about 8,200. While that number is significantly reduced from years past, it is still too high to make full closure of Rikers Island feasible. In order to continue to shrink the jail population, the administration and its partners are planning to continue a variety of efforts, which we will hear about and discuss today. As the city implements its plans, there are concerns about jail siting, costs, crime control, and many potential pitfalls that could occur along the way. There will also be a new mayor in a little more than 3 years who may have a different vision or approach. To discuss the city's effort to close Rikers, the challenges, and more, we're joined by Liz Glazer, who is Mayor de Blasio's Director of the Office of Criminal Justice. Liz has a long and distinguished career in the criminal justice arena, including serving as Secretary for Public Safety to the Governor and as an Assistant U.S. Attorney in the storied U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District. Welcome, Liz.
Thanks so much.
So Carol gave us a little bit of your background, and we obviously want to discuss the initiatives you're leading, this plan to close Rikers Island, efforts around criminal justice reform. But before we do some of that, tell us a little bit more, tell listeners a little bit more about your career to this point.
Sure. So when I think about my career, I feel it's a lot more accidental than it seemed when Carol sort of read out a few of the things that I had done. I grew up in New York. I've always been fascinated and loved cities and have lived here most of my life. And more or less right out of college, started to work for the city government, first for the city council president, and then for what was the fledgling Department of Juvenile Justice, which actually housed kids who'd been arrested. It was at a time when actually halfway around the globe, there were a lot of refugees coming out of Vietnam and Cambodia. And I had always been very interested in refugee issues. And so I went to Southeast Asia and worked in the camps for a few years there and was interested when I came back in maybe doing that work as a lawyer. And so I went to law school. And again, through sort of just a series of accidents, I thought I was going to go work for the ACLU on their refugee stuff, but the U.S. Attorney's Office paid a little better, and I had a lot of debts. So I went to the U.S. Attorney's Office, which are the federal prosecutors here in Manhattan, and arrived there at this interesting kind of turning point where the office had been very, very active in taking down La Cosa Nostra, the mafia, and it had a series of cases. But it was also at a time when murders in this city were tipping over 2,200. Just to give you a sense, or your listeners a sense, they're under 300 now. And I became head of that organized crime section.
Who was the U.S. Attorney then?
So Rudy Giuliani hired me. Most of my career was under Mary Jo White.
Interesting.
So we started to think about using racketeering cases to address the crime problem and really sort of street gangs. And so I did a huge amount of work on that. And then I sort of kicked around a few other places in the city and another prosecutor's office, and ultimately went to work for Andrew Cuomo when he was the Attorney General and I was his special counsel. And when he became governor, I became what's called the Deputy Secretary for Public Safety, which is in every area of the government, there's one secretary who oversees the agencies. And